Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to our Facebook Live Esophageal Cancer Survivor Series. We are live. It is Wednesday. It is the first day of November 2023, and welcome to our Esophageal Cancer Survivor Series. We're going to be featuring Patrick Minno. We're going to bring him on right now. Let's see if we can bring you on, Patrick, so you can join us. Patrick's going to share his story with us. Okay, I'm going to try to bring him on in a little bit. But this is an ongoing project that I have with the Esophageal Foundation, and we try to give hope to everybody battling cancer. How are you, Patrick? Oh, he got cut out for a minute. We're going to wait for him to come back on. Maybe he's having some connectivity issues. But just in short, the Esophageal Cancer Survivor Series is our effort to not only raise awareness, but also to give hope to those fighting. And we welcome survivors to share their stories. I've featured quite a few individuals who are still surviving, and they've done a great job of sharing their stories and their battle, and giving others hope for a cure and for after surgery. Let me see who else is watching. Let's see if I can bring Patrick on. Let's see if Patrick is coming on. We're waiting for Patrick to join. I know that he's having maybe some technical difficulties. Are you there, Patrick? How are you?
Finally, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, good.
I don't know if it was Facebook or just the connectivity issue, but I'm so glad that we're finally going to get to kick it off.
Yes, finally, we can tell our story.
Yeah, I couldn't wait to tell your story, because there's a lot of people who were candidates for the story, and I know it's a very sensitive interview to do. So I'm going to give you the floor. Tell us how it began. Tell us how your life was before this happened, and give us a little backstory. Did you even know that esophageal cancer existed while you were having your symptoms? Tell us about.
Well, no, I didn't actually. Can you hear me? You can hear me okay? Fine. Okay. First off, I want to thank you for doing this. You and the foundation, the Esophageal Foundation, means a lot, giving awareness. That's great. Second of all, before I go with my story, this won't be long, don't worry.
That's fine.
The reason I do this, I get asked a lot with my blog that I'm doing on, why are you doing it? And the reason I do it is basically for new people that are diagnosed. Those are diagnosed today, yesterday, last week, because when I got that initial shock, it was, wow. You don't know what to do. You're doom scrolling, and it's always good to find out from somebody that's been through it. So with my blog, I got connected with, a lot of people from the United States, Canada, even the UK reaching out, just helping. And I'm learning a lot too from people ahead of me. And I've probably told this story 1,000 times, and I have to say it. The reason I do it is because there was a guy from the community I found out had the same esophageal cancer as me.
Wow.
His name is Carl, and I didn't know him at the time. He didn't know me, but I was kind of stalking him on Facebook.
Wow.
And just seeing him walking the dog, getting treatment, getting the surgery, it just meant the world. So I figured I'd give it back. So
that's very intense. And what was the emotion that you were feeling? Because a lot of people feel hopeless, and we talked to a lot of families at our event, and the families feel guilty. They feel like they didn't have enough education or resources. They feel like they were, I guess, I'm going to say doomed by the medical system. What was your experience with the medical system when you went in there and you had so what kind of complications did you have that you said something?
I found out, just like most people, I was, not the healthiest person in the world, but I was playing basketball twice a week. I was 48 years old. I noticed the symptoms of just can't
Right.
swallow my food. And I'm just thinking it's the basic reflux, which you hear every, doctor, everybody thinks they're a doctor, they're telling you it's a reflux. And it just got worse and worse to where I was actually bringing up my food, or even if I ate a few crackers.
Wow.
And then my wife, Amanda, finally made the phone call, because you can probably, in the last 20 years, I can count on one finger the amount of times I went to the
Wow.
doctor.
Yeah, I think in my experience with some of the people I've spoken to, men aren't as apt to kind of
Yeah.
act on that. And the ironic thing is, men are more likely to develop esophageal cancer, especially in that age bracket. But it's also disturbing to me, as I was saying before, how the doctors kind of go about it. Now, did you get prescribed the medications, or did you have to push for a scope? How was that journey?
I went to the family physician first, because I was telling him the problems I was having. Then he referred me to get my initial scope here, and I'm from Youngstown, Ohio, so I got my first scope here. And that's where the day I was diagnosed. I had the symptoms late, I think, I don't know if I already said it, late 2021 in December. And then that scope, I got diagnosed in April 25th of 2022.
Wow.
And that's when they said it was cancer, esophageal cancer. And I never heard of it. I've heard of it, but when I thought of esophageal cancer, I thought it was, just your throat. Yes.
Right. Right.
And I had adenocarcinoma right above the junction of my stomach and
Right.
esophagus.
And what options did the doctor give you at that point? What was, did they go right to, they give you the surgery option or the radiation, the chemo? Because the surgery, most people don't realize how what a huge step that is. It's literally taking out most of that tract.
Yeah, and a lot of people I see now, and with the groups I'm on, that a lot of people even deny the
Right.
surgery.
Correct.
But that doctor, just when he gave us the diagnosis, which was like getting hit with a ton of bricks, went from there. He said either get your butt to Pittsburgh or Cleveland, because they do a lot of esophagectomies. That's one thing you have to do, is get to somewhere that does a lot of them, because not a lot of people do the esophagectomy. So from there, we got the ball rolling quick, and then I went up to Cleveland.
And how did you feel going into it? How did you feel? And did they tell you about the recovery and the complications? And did that scare you at all? Like, I mean, my father had gone through it. My father was like 10 pounds soaking wet. So I felt like he wouldn't have survived it at all. I think the surgery would have subsequently, and you can't, he would have to eat out of a feeding tube. There's just a lot, I think, that kind of, it gets more intense the more you think about. So how did the doctors kind of, and how did you make that decision? Were you in great?
Well, I made the decision to basically put my trust in the team in Cleveland. They have a very great staff, and when I went up there, the first thing I had here was a CAT scan before I went to Cleveland, and it said, possible metastasis to the liver, which is another different ball game. So now you're thinking the worst, of course. Then I went up to Cleveland, had another scope where they kind of said that they didn't see nothing on the liver. So from there, talking to them, I think they originally diagnosed me with 3, but when they did the EUS, it was like T2, N2, or something on that. But now the thoracic surgeon up there, Dr. Raja, he told me that you treat 2 and 3 the same. So if you go through the tri-modality aggressive treatment, if you can handle it, not a lot of people have it. Talking to everybody, I see a lot of people have different types of treatment. Right. So the aggressive tri-modality I did with the radiation at the same time. You have to go from there, go through hoops of fire, then go to the surgery and go through more hoops of fire.
Did they have to shrink it to a point where it was operable? Was that the idea, to kind of get it to a point where it would be operable?
Yes, that's what they said, but I believe after my treatment, my second scope, it did not really shrink it that much, but I responded where it stopped the, growing of it.
Right.
So I think it shrunk it a little, but it did help out with the 2 lymph nodes.
Wow.
And then, but before I was able to do the treatment, then I had to have a PET scan
Right.
also to make sure there was nothing on that liver. And then after the PET scan, it showed just that it was localized with 2 lymph nodes.
Stage,
And then
what stage was it at that point? Was it at stage 3 at that point?
what originally was stage 3, yes. And then I think the last scope was T2, N2, or N1, something like that.
Wow.
And then after the CAT scan was, and the doctor, they're pretty upfront and blunt about it, as anybody would tell you. It's like if it's stage 4, liver, you have no chance for surgery. So I kind of took it as like surgery was, you got to get there to get this thing out of me. So I took kind of everything as a challenge. So then we started the trimodality treatment and combined with the radiation.
And then the surgery was a little bit afterwards. And were you nervous at all about the surgery? Well, you said you had trust in the in the team that worked on you. So that's a plus to educate others experiencing this. About second opinions, fourth opinions. A lot of people, a lot of survivors said they've gone to multiple doctors, multiple surgeons, multiple just multiple opinions to make sure that what they were doing was in fact the right decision, not just to prolong their life, but to have a quality of life. Were you afraid of that at all, your quality of life afterwards? Because
yes, definitely.
You have a leg, you just rest it, you just don't walk for a while. There's a big quality of life issue of eating normal, and eating is losing weight, gaining weight, your energy, it's everything. So what did they project your quality of life would be like afterwards? And was that true after the surgery?
He told me that you can return to a normal part of life. You always would be changed, and that's what even now, 12 months after the surgery, I'm still dealing with. The eating is still tough. They told me you're like a little baby now. You got to learn to eat again. And everybody I talk to, it's the same thing. And you're basically snacking. You can't enjoy full meals anymore. I can't enjoy a big bowl of pasta anymore.
Wow.
It's you got to just basically snack all day, and your brain's not telling you you're full, and then you'll bring it up, and it happens more than what you would think. As far as physically, I'm fine now. I'm back walking, running, moving around, running, playing some basketball.
How long did it take? How long did it take you to come back after the surgery? Was it long? Was it, especially for your physical health? How long did it take to kind of?
It took me a long time. It wasn't. I like to say the chemo radiation. I mean, yes, that beat me up, but it was what I expected. The surgery really beat my butt. The surgery, especially after and I think I already talked to you about it. The J tube was just a big pain in my butt. You're up every 3-4 hours, like going back to being like a baby. Right. My wife Amanda, she's feeding me with the syringe every 3-4 hours. We're setting our alarm, and I didn't have nothing to eat or drink for probably a month and a half. Nothing but a sponge, and that was it. They wouldn't let me eat. Now, some people do. That's one thing I do notice. Like some people are actually eating and drinking after a week or 2 weeks after the surgery, but I didn't touch nothing for about a month and a half, and then so it took a while. Then I got back to work, I think in early December, maybe. The surgery was September 22nd.
Right. It's good information to share because everybody has their own healing process, and especially those who strive to fight and survive. Now the rest of my sign came down. That's okay. So they strive to fight and survive, and to overcome the fear of afterwards. How painful is it going to be? And like you're saying, the quality of life, little by little, everybody experiences it different. Would you recommend doing this surgery, or you know, I mean, obviously it's a case by case basis, but I think as time goes on, you know, medical technology improves. And that's why I think so much more money needs to go into this cancer, to research better ways to even conduct the surgery and to prepare, like rehab. You know,
Yeah.
what kind of rehab did you have afterwards? I guess it's kind of, was it a physical rehab, like an eating rehab?
No, I had I mean, they just kind of guided you. Nutritionist gave me a diet, and you know, I was only allowed like 4 ounces of water. You can only have like 4 ounces at a time.
Wow.
You know, your calories had to be just split up. Like
Mhm.
you eat like one egg, one piece of toast every couple. You know, everything is just
Mhm.
very brought out, and it takes a long time. As I said, I'm still
And how
learning
about
now.
treatment after? Treatment after the surgery, what was that? What did that consist of, if anything?
I did. I'm very fortunate I did not. I had a complete response to all the path results now. Knock on wood, you know, I got to get the scans every 6 months still, but I did not need immunotherapy,
Mhm.
you know, or any other kind of treatment.
Any medications
And
or anything like that? They didn't.
no, I do pemproprazole twice a
Mhm.
day for the acid, because the reflux, going back to one of the things after the surgery is, along with the eating, just one little thing that people take for granted, I can't lay down flat anymore. If I lay down flat, yes, I'll get that acid. And I call them attacks. I've had about 4 or 5 of those a night where I'll slide down from laying up, and
Mhm.
it's just a burn all the way up your throat, and it takes hours for that to go away.
Because,
So you can't really even
yeah,
lay
they've
down.
literally cut out that whole tract that usually produces, I guess, the acid that would help deter that, you know, that body's process. So how do
Yeah,
you manage that?
I think they say, I'm not exactly sure, but it's like the valve. You don't have the valve no more, because your belly is just up in your chest, so that acid's easy just to come, you know,
Right.
right up.
And I'm,
So
I'm assuming no, like sauce or orange juice, things of acidic nature. Are those cut out of your diet completely now as well?
no, I actually, the diet, I'm able to tolerate just about anything. It's just it's the amounts for me. Yeah, I can eat a little bit of sauce, um, you know, but I can't eat a lot of it.
Right. Wow. And did you get back to work after that? Did you go back to a kind of a, I want to say, semi-normal, productive life?
Yes, yes. I mean, your mindset changes. It's a mental, where tried to be used. I used to be for 20 years the first guy at work, last one
Mm-hmm.
to leave, hour. But your whole mindset changes on, when something like this happens. Now
Absolutely.
I'll watch the kids go to school. I'll be home early for the kids, and my employer's been great, where I work, so they've helped me out
That's
tremendously.
amazing. That's great. And
Yes.
about your family, tell us about your family. How did they feel about this journey? How did they experience this journey with you? I love the pictures that you've posted. And how was the impact on your family? You know, the thought of losing, the thought of losing you, and thought of losing my father. Like, that the person has been kind of given a death sentence in a way, initially when this first comes out. So how
Yes.
did your family feel, and how did that work out? Especially because you had to change your lifestyle, you had to change everything. How did they help you along the journey?
Oh, just being there every day, and it's hard to put into words. That was probably one of the hardest things we ever had to do, was tell them,
Right.
actually. But now hopefully they see this and see, the battle, the fight that you have to do. You have to take it as you're not going to lose. And it's hard to, you know, have someone see you doing it, I think, is the best way to teach them, so
Absolutely.
hopefully they take this with
Absolutely.
them.
And how are you feeling today? How are you feeling now? Do you have moments of, feeling really strong, and does it come back, or how are you feeling, like, this is a week by week, and how do you feel now?
I feel physically good enough that hopefully tonight I'm going to get to go play
Cool.
basketball later, if we got enough time. but yeah, physically I'm strong. It's just the eating, like I can't stress enough, the eating sucks. And, you know, you have days where it's, you eat fine and there's days where you're bringing it up, you know, and you try to manage it. And, you know, Amanda will tell me to consult the doctors, but I'll maybe stay wait till I have to go up and get my next scope, which will be in January or February. And my next scan will be in December.
And keep us posted along the way. I'm gonna put this on YouTube. This will be on YouTube on my YouTube page. And I've gotten some followers on YouTube who want me to do like a recap months later with my subjects, so we can just, you know, maybe do an update here or there, or we can just have a picture for the Salgy Foundation with your updates. And I guess lastly, what advice do you have for each of these stages, and the diagnosis stage and the decision stage, and maybe even someone who's going through the radiation and chemo and just kind of finding themselves at a crossroads of, you know, what do I do? Do I, you know, because my father had to give up. He went into hospice because we weren't educated enough. And that's the whole point of my charity work, is to give somebody those tools that my father didn't have. So what could you impart on people who are fighting and people who are very confused and feel like they've been given a death sentence? Because that's a very harsh thing to go to the doctor and like, oh, you have 5 years to live. What do I do with that time? Do I get the treatment, surgery? Do I say goodbye to my family? You know, from your experience, what is your best advice to those struggling to make decisions?
I think my best advice to them would, don't listen to Joe down at the barbershop. Find somebody that has gone through it, like myself, or like when I looked to Carl, and talk to people who work in the industry. My cousin, Christopher, my best friend, Salt Lake City, his brother Lawrence was a nurse. They're both nurses, and they talk to these people. They help me out through emails and things like that, guide you in such a right way, as opposed to people who don't know. So my advice would be, get to somebody who's been through it. And I'm learning now, like I said, I'm 11, 12 months past the surgery, or 14 months past the surgery. And I look, and people contact me through my blog and Messenger, and I'm learning from them right now. They're 3 years out and 5 years out, and I'm asking them questions. So that'd be my biggest advice.
Right. And if they'd like to do the live as well, you can encourage them to share their story with us. If they're, you know, if they're willing to divulge the information and share the information, looking for more survivors to kind of give hope. And I'm really thankful to you for giving hope to so many people and for connecting to others going through the same battle. It's, you know, it's a battle less fought than most cancers, because it's usually caught in its later stages. There's no screenings, and we're not getting any closer to those, you know, mandated screenings and even the research tools to kind of control that. And I think that's most important, especially among a certain age group who's susceptible to the disease. So thank you so much. Is there anything that you wanted to, anything you want to add to our live? I'm glad we finally got to connect and we finally got to share your story. You're an inspiration, and I'm just proud to share it with our network, to share with anybody who's interested in, you know, having some resources and just, you know, lending an ear or an eye to, you know, keep up with you and your story as well. Do you still do your blog?
Yes, I do it I try to do it, not every day, but now I'm down to every couple days, once a week. And just people fall and read it, even if they see I'm walking the dog. You know what I mean? I think it helps out. It really does. So
absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you wanted to add to the?
No, I think I'm good, Darren. Thank you very much for connecting.
You're very welcome. We're very grateful. The Salgy and I are thankful for your story, and, you know, keep pushing ahead and let us know what else, you know, transpires from your checkups and everything else. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Darren. Bye-bye.
Have a great night, everybody, and thank you for joining us in the Survivor Series, and we'll see you soon.